This podcast contains explicit language and content and is for mature audiences only.
Hey, you teenagers out there. If you're under 18, this show is more for your parents. So now that you have that mental picture stuck in your head, put some music on and get back to doing your homework.
We are a longtime married couple who's decided to chronicle our personal adventures and share our sex-positive discussions as we navigate our way through the swinging lifestyle.
Care to join us?
Everyone, I'm Mr. Jones.
And I'm Mrs. Jones, and we want to welcome you to episode 24 of the We Got a Thing podcast. So, honey, it's a beautiful, beautiful Friday night here in Virginia, the month of June. Mm-hmm. Nice out.
Mango martini night.
Mango martini night. We grilled some pizzas out. Mr. Jones can grill some pizzas.
You know what? It's really easy.
Yeah, it is. If you have the right equipment.
I mean, you just get the pizza stone, you get your grill up to 500-600 degrees, put it on there for 6 minutes, it's done.
Yep. And it's tasty.
Yeah, it was really good.
I like it when you get it like all crispy around the edges. It was tasty.
Yeah, this is drink number 3.
Yeah.
Because what did we start with?
Like some strawberry lemonade.
It was that thing you made up.
Yeah, I took like fresh strawberries and muddled them with some mint and then put some lemonade in there and some vodka and some lime juice. And
then, of course, with the pizza, I had to have beer.
Yeah.
And I can't drink beer during the podcast, so we had to switch to mango martinis.
Nope, I had to cut you off.
Too many bodily noises.
I know. Well, either you burp with your beer or you clink your ice with your bourbon. You got it rough, honey.
I know. So tonight, the episode 24. So the Newbie Whisperers.
Yes.
Why are we talking about the Newbie Whisperers?
Because we've had some encounters with newbies lately.
Yes.
And they've been mostly positive.
Yes.
But they've all been memorable.
Yes, they've all been memorable. We've learned a lot from each one of them.
Yep. And again, it's so funny. We decide on a topic and then just like there's like karma out there, because then we'll be getting messages from listeners that'll deal with like newbie issues.
Yes.
So it all kind of tied together nicely.
Yes. So before we start into segment 1 with Keeping Up with the Joneses, we've got a couple of updates for you. First of all, let's talk about the website.
Oh, got to get the nerdy stuff out of the way.
Yeah. The website is coming along. We've settled on a platform and a theme, and we've got our graphics designer has rendered a few more iterations of Jessica, our logo. And she's in different positions. And
they're very cute.
Yes, we're going to introduce her. New renderings on the new website. And probably, I would say, within the next month or 2, it'll be ready to go. But still moving forward on that. I'm really having a good time.
You are.
Yeah. And then, of course, the big news is that we got about, 2 more weeks? 3 more weeks.
Yeah, I think 3 more weeks.
Until Naughty in New Orleans, 2016.
Yep. Starting to think about packing already.
Can you believe this is our 3rd?
I know. Where has the time gone?
I know. We're really looking forward to this year. I think each year, the first year we were a little bit nervous.
A little bit nervous? I was terrified.
Yeah. The second year, we were a lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
And this year, we're really involved this time too.
Yeah.
We're going to do
a workshop on setting rules and boundaries in the lifestyle.
Yeah, that's Thursday at noon.
Yeah.
And you and I will be doing that together. And we hope that if you're attending and you can't make our meet and greet, well, even if you can, we hope that you'll come to that. If you look on your schedule, we'll be at noon on Thursday.
It's perfect timing because they can come at noon to the workshop, and then it'll be over at 1, and then we can go hit all the bar takeovers.
Yeah. We also got some goodies.
Yes,
that we're going to bring with us to hand out.
Yeah, we ordered some stuff that's got our logo on it, and we'll come prepared.
Yes. And that's Thursday. But prior to that, Wednesday, of course, is our meet and greet.
Yes.
And we've got 22 couples coming to that. So that should be a lot of fun.
And we have room for more.
We do. So if you have not heard from me, send me an email and I'll give you the location. But we're really looking forward to that. And then what else are we doing? We're doing, the podcast.
Yeah,
there's a podcast
panel.
Yeah, podcast Q&A panel. And that's a brutal 10 o'clock in the morning on Friday.
Yeah. That's when it was last year, and that was pretty painful.
Yes. But we are really looking.
You get a cup of coffee. There's a Starbucks right across the street.
Yeah.
And you go out and get yourself a cup of coffee and a little muffin or whatever, and come on and sit with us and wake up with us, because we'll be drinking our coffee at that point in time too.
Yeah. We're not sure. We know that most podcasters will be in the vicinity.
Yes.
Last year it was John and Allie and the Swap Foos and others, but Jay and Angie. But this year we're actually going to see TNA from Curious Couple.
Yep.
Are going to be there. C&D from Swinging Down Under.
And Al and Ellie from the Aussie Swingers.
Yeah. So we haven't met them yet. We've corresponded with them, but it's going to be great to meet them. So really looking forward to that.
Yes.
So yeah, what a whirlwind.
Old friends, new friends.
Yeah. And
they're all sexy friends. That's the important thing.
Yeah. That is the important thing. I like it because you've been getting all these emails and texts about what ladies should bring, and I always throw my 2 cents in.
I know. So tonight it was like I said, during the day, just wear shorts and a tank top because it's so hot in New Orleans in July. And Mr. Jones was like, well, and just remember, there's like a no bra rule.
Yeah. Tell her not to wear a bra.
Yeah.
Optional.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think there'll be a lot of bras.
Yeah.
They just get in the way.
Yeah. So it seems like every day I come home from work, there's a new Amazon box outside with some sort of wardrobe.
Well, I got to get ready.
Yeah.
And then, the following month we have Desire. So I'm just kind of thinking big picture here.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you haven't forgotten me. What am I wearing?
Guys are easy. You just wear jeans and a shirt at night.
Oh.
It's so easy for you.
Okay.
If it's blackout night, it's, jeans and a black shirt.
Yeah. Well, I do have a complaint about the new underwear you've been buying me.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm not a guy. I don't get it.
Well, think about it. I mean, this jockey underwear you got me, the pee holes in the middle.
That's where your penis is.
I know, but
it's like right there.
But my other underwear, the pee hole's on the right. And so normally, I know women don't think about this.
No, I don't.
No, you think our lives are so simple as men, but when you unzip, you got to pull the fly open with your left hand, and normally you're reaching in with your index finger, and you can get the pee hole and the other side of your fly.
This is kind of too much information
at the same time, and then you pull it all apart, and then just whoop, it flips right out, and you're good to go. Now I got this jockey brand, and the pee hole's in the middle, and then it just next thing I know,
you told me to buy them for you because you liked the fabric. It was like, the dry fit, microfiber or whatever kind of.
I know, but we need to get all of those and throw the other ones away. Because the last thing
I have to train you on how the underwear is constructed.
Well, I'm standing at the urinal. I got both hands up to my elbows in my fly trying to figure out where the hole is. Because at 4:30 in the morning, I don't remember what kind of underwear I put on.
All the other guys in the bathroom were like, do you need some privacy or what?
I know, it's embarrassing. So pee hole in the middle is okay. Then we got to get rid of all the others.
Okay, I'll work on it.
Yeah. All right. Enough of that. Let's get back to the podcast. So keeping up with the Joneses.
Finally keeping up with the Joneses.
What have we been up to?
Well, if we try to go in chronological order, I think the first thing we did is we had a couple that actually flew into town.
Speaking of newbies.
Yeah, speaking of newbies, we had a couple contact us and ask if they could take us out to dinner. And they flew into town from New England just to take us out to dinner.
I know, that was really cool.
I know, it was really cool. And they were just a great couple. And we found a restaurant where we could have private conversation because it was pretty close to where we live. So, we were looking for discretion as well.
Yeah, it was in an old downtown townhouse that was converted to a restaurant, and the root cellar was a separate dining area.
Yeah, so they actually took the root cellar and finished it, although there were like these exposed beams. Original beams from like the Civil War era that ran across the ceiling. Even I had to duck to get under the beams.
But it was perfect for a swinger conversation because
it was amazing.
It was brick, there was a lot of wood, the sound was absorbed, and you knew the waiter, because he would come down the steps. We got to go behind the bar and go down the secret passageway to get to that room.
Yeah, because you walk in and you're like, okay, well, where's the staircase? And you couldn't see it.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, you literally had to go almost into the kitchen and then down. So the only problem is that the bathroom was up on the main level. So you had to come up through the kitchen to go to the bathroom. But that just kind of was all part of the adventure. But they had really nice music piped in down there, and there was lots of candlelight. It was
a great meal too.
It was, and the food was amazing.
Yeah. But yeah,
And you and I had a really interesting cocktail. Remember, it had like cucumber and basil and jalapeno and
I don't even remember what it was called.
Yeah,
I just said whatever you recommend.
Yeah,
and you brought that.
I think it had gin in it. It was really good.
But
it was a great time talking to them.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, I just like, especially when listeners and you all know us so much better than we know you. So it's just fun for us to sit and listen to a couple talk and get to know the people that we connect with through the podcast. We had a really great time, and we were flattered that they came all that way just to have dinner with us. So it was nice. Then there was another couple that came through town. They were visiting in Washington, D.C. Again, we get the advantage, especially this time of year, D.C. starts to get real touristy. And they came into town.
They listened to our podcast, but we also have mutual friends. And that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So they had come into town on vacation, and they stayed up in the district for a couple events that were going on up there. But yeah, on Saturday afternoon, they came down to our house and we hung out. And
before we had emailed and then texted and then Skyped with them,
right?
Before they came here. So we got to know them really well before that day. And then we just brought them down here for dinner. Well, more than dinner, they brought beer and some sort of fancy chocolates that I got in trouble for popping the whole thing in my mouth. Evidently, you're supposed to take little bites of it and share it with other people, although it's only like not even a half inch by a half inch by a half inch.
You just needed a nibble so you could get the flavor.
I mean, at that little,
they were hand painted.
It just makes you mad to take a little bite like that. I didn't know.
There were 8 chocolates.
I got in trouble because everyone wanted to taste
I know.
all of them, and I just popped that one down. And then everyone's looking at me like, what did I do?
I think you ate the coffee one, right? Because nobody got to taste the coffee one.
I don't know. It was good.
There was like a lavender one and a sea salt caramel one and some sort of a spicy like Thai one.
You girls were oohing and ahhing over it.
Oh, they were really interesting.
Let's eat it.
Oh, you just don't understand.
No, I do understand.
Just buy you a Hershey bar and shove it in your mouth.
Well, they brought beer too.
They did, and the beer was really good.
I probably appreciated the beer more than the chocolate. But we cooked out on the grill and had fun with them.
Yep, we did.
More fun in our swinger pad.
Yep.
Especially in the summer. It stays nice and cool down here.
Yep. I got to play the dumb card game again.
Oh, yeah. Did play the dumb card game.
Works every time.
Yeah. Yeah. So thanks, guys. We really enjoyed our time together. And, of course, we had a visit from Tony, but everybody knows that because we did our special bonus episode.
Yes.
Yeah, so we don't need to talk about him.
I'm not allowed to talk about it anymore.
No, because you got so distracted last time. It was like I was talking by myself the whole time.
I had this gorgeous guy sitting like right up against me. Like we were literally like smashed against each other because we had to share a microphone.
Well, it's good to have you back tonight. I feel like
my head's in the game tonight.
Yeah, your head's in the game and you're paying attention to me.
All I could think of is when we finish recording, we get to eat dinner and then we get to play.
I know what you were thinking of. I was too, honestly.
Oh, well, good. I'm glad to know that.
Yeah. And then, then we also had fun with J and K.
That's right.
That Couple Next Door podcast. Yes. Yeah, we found out, and we mentioned them before because we both ran the same half marathon. So the 4 of us went out for drinks. Did we have dinner or we just had appetizers?
We just ended up eating appetizers.
Yeah, so we went to a small town here in Northern Virginia and had appetizers. And then we went to another restaurant and it was called
The Cock and Bowl.
Yeah, this is funny. Those two are a hoot. And especially, And Kay, I have some advice for you. I've listened to all your podcasts, and I'm going to recommend that you drink a bottle of water between each glass of wine.
I know.
Had a little bit of a struggle there. You guys need to listen to the first few episodes to know what I'm talking about. But she made it through the evening unscathed with us. But we went to another place called the Cock and Bowl, and they were selling these T-shirts. And it was funny because our waiter we need to give a shout out to Josh.
Hi, Josh.
He was fantastic. And we got there late, and it was a nice evening, and we were sitting outside. And I think there was one other couple, if you noticed, 2 tables away, and they were just listening to because at that point in time, Jay and Kay the 4 of us were comfortable, and we had been drinking, and we were pretty loud.
We were very loud.
Yeah, so the other
we were
couple,
not being discreet at all.
The other couple wasn't even talking. They were just sitting over there listening to us. And then Josh
You have 4 podcasters at the same table that have been drinking. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, the waiter was gay. He came right out and told us. So he pulled up a chair and we started talking with him. Well, he had a shirt on that said Team Cock because it's the cock and bowl. So of course, Mrs. Jones and Kay had to buy Team Cock t-shirts, which I'm sure you'll be modeling at Naughty in New Orleans.
Oh yeah, we're totally wearing those one day.
Yeah. So it was just funny that, Jay was kind of picking on the guy. Well, we all were, but he was taking it in stride.
He was giving it right back.
He was telling us about his life story. He had moved from Ohio to Virginia, and he does pet grooming on the side. He pulled up a chair and started chatting with us, and so we ended up telling him that we were podcasters.
We gave him our business card.
Yeah,
so he's going to listen.
So he's going to listen. So we owe Josh a shout out. So hey, we had fun with them, and we're definitely going to see Jay and Kay. We're neighbors.
Well, they're coming down for dinner next week.
Yeah, how can we not?
Or we're getting together somehow. We haven't set plans yet, but yeah.
We're looking forward to that.
I know. That'll be fun.
Yeah, and then lastly, we went to
Temptation in Mexico.
Yes.
It was so much fun.
And we're not going to talk about that now.
But we are going to talk about it. I mean, it was a really interesting experience. It's owned by the same company that runs the Desire Resort. So, we knew it was going to be similar, but it was also very different.
Well, and people asked us, because we love Desire Pearl so much, then people said, well, why are you going to Temptation? And because we had canceled a trip last year, we had airline tickets that we had to use before June, the first week of June. And it was going to be cheaper for us to fly to Mexico than it would be to go to Myrtle Beach, which is what we normally do. And Temptation was really a lot cheaper than Desire, and we got a direct flight, so we were there at noon. We were at the resort at noon on Saturday and stayed for 3 days.
Yeah,
through Mrs. Jones's birthday weekend.
Oh, it was the best birthday weekend.
Yes. So we're going to tell you, and we met a couple of newbie couples.
Hence the theme.
Yes, and we had a really good time with them. So when we come back, we're going to talk about our sexy times and our fun times at Temptation Resorts in Cancun.
Welcome back to segment 2 of our podcast tonight. The title of this segment is, again, called The Newbie Whisperers. And we're going to talk about our trip to Temptation, but really what we found at Temptation was, we met 2 great couples in particular. We met tons of wonderful people, but 2 couples in particular that were either extremely new to the lifestyle or fairly new to the lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And we just want to talk about our experiences with them and kind of the things that happened in the periphery around our time with them. And it just, the whole newbie theme just seemed to be
jumping out at us.
Yeah, throughout the whole weekend.
Yeah. And then we're going to share at the end of this segment, we're going to share an email that we got from a listener who's also a newbie that ties in with what we want to talk about. But, first of all, the resort itself, it's funny that a lot of people ask, what's the difference between Desire RM and Desire Pearl? And Temptation really doesn't come into play a lot because it's not the same theme as Desire. It's not clothing optional. You can go topless.
Right. But you can only go topless at that. Well, I saw people at the quiet pool topless.
Yeah, so you can go topless at the pool. And the other difference is it's adult only instead of couples only. So which means you get a lot of single guys and some single girls. So you'll have a group of guys come down there or a bachelorette party, they'll come in for the day. So, and that really it makes it a much more party atmosphere. It was like spring break sort of an atmosphere.
Yes, it was exactly like a spring break.
Yeah. And,
like a grown-up spring break.
And I thought it was really interesting that we told a lot of people there that we had been to Desire, because everybody wants, when you meet people, a common question is, have you been here before? And we said, no, this is our first time, but we've been to Desire Pearl several times. And it was funny because here we were at Temptation where people were crazy, dancing, drinking, topless, just spring break atmosphere. And when you said Pearl or RM, they were like, oh wow, that's
hardcore.
Yeah, that's hard. And I'm thinking the opposite, because at Pearl or RM, it's a little bit more laid back, and it's not as big of a party scene, but of course it's much more sensual and sexual. And I'd imagine the people at Pearl and RM would think Temptation is crazy, just like the people that go to Temptation think Pearl is crazy.
Right.
So it was really
interesting. I guess it depends on your definition of crazy.
Yeah. But the facility was nice. They're getting ready to renovate. They're going to do a big renovation in September. So they're
actually closing it for 10 months.
Yeah. But the room we stayed in was really nice.
Yeah. I mean, it was modern and clean, and everything worked. I actually thought the resort itself was nice as it was, but they had tons of, their website is full of a gallery of all the renderings of what it's going to look like and how they're going to reconfigure, because they actually have a lot of real estate right there in downtown Cancun, and they could probably use it more efficiently, and I think that's really their objective.
Yeah, I think it is the oldest resort building in Cancun.
Yeah, that's what we were told.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be amazing once they renovate it.
Yeah. So basically, without the hot tub there, the typical day at Temptation is you wake up, you do have to go fight for a chair.
Yeah.
That was one difference, because at Pearl, they pretty much save your chair for you. But you had to get up early and fight for a chair around the pool. Then there was just sexy games and activities around the pool all day long. But there was a game that I actually got to take my trunks off, because they had this game called Miscommunications, and they were having the girls lay down and do tricks to try to win. And then they made them fake an orgasm. And anyway, one of them was to get in the water and collect as many bathing trunks that you could from the guys. And of course, I took mine right off because it was nice. I had to wear board shorts all weekend. And so I got to take my trunks off and gave them to a girl. And then when the game was over, they made you prove that you didn't have any trunks on. And I've never seen...
Well, because I had this big old pile of soggy board shorts, that the girls had collected, and they were trying to give them back to the guys. Yeah. So they would hold them up to throw them back at you, but you had to prove that they were yours by jumping up and showing that you were naked.
Yeah. So I just stepped up a couple of steps out of the pool and got my shorts back. But a lot of other guys were a little bit embarrassed to have to get out of the water. I'm like, finally, for 15 minutes, I get to go in the pool with nothing on.
Right. Okay, so that's a great point. So some of the guys took their shorts off and were naked in the water that was up to their waists. So you couldn't really see anything anyway.
Yeah.
Unless you were right next to them. And then when they had to jump up out of the water to prove that they were naked, they were embarrassed. So the 3 girls that were participating in the contest, this is where it's total spring break atmosphere. They were supposed to fake masturbating and giving themselves an orgasm, laying down. They put towels down on the side of the pool, and then everybody was watching. Well, the first lady, she was a class act. She kept her bottoms on, and she did a really good job of with her sounds and her body language and everything. And I thought she was awesome. But then the 2, and she was an older lady. She was probably in her 40s, probably. You remember which one I'm thinking about?
Yeah.
And then the other 2 girls were younger. And the one girl, she completely took her bottoms off, and there was nothing left to the imagination. It was really bad amateur porn on the side of the pool. And the poor entertainment guy running the game, he had lost control of the situation.
And then all the single guys were magnets to her. They were swoop, right up there staring as close as they could.
Yeah, and her hoo-ha was right there on the edge of the pool. Yeah. And they were standing there But then these people are afraid to go to Desire.
Yeah, right. I don't know. And there were a lot of people there. Like there was a couple ladies there who were bodybuilders, and
That one lady in particular, yeah.
yeah. I mean, it was like people were not really comfortable being who they were. They were being what they were. I mean, people were strutting around like the bodybuilder people. It looked like they were posing all the time.
Right.
That they really weren't relaxed and they really weren't themselves. That was the one thing that I noticed about a difference there. That some people were there, maybe didn't have the confidence, to go to a Pearl. And I mean, we'll talk about that in a little while. But anyway, you and I always have a good time no matter what. And
you and I weren't sure when we went there about what to expect as far as, were there any other swingers going to be there? At either one of the Desire resorts, you can always hope for like at least a 50-50
right.
Percentage of swingers and non-swingers. But, at Temptation, we had no idea what to expect.
Yeah.
And there were quite a few swingers there.
Yeah.
As we're going to talk about in a few minutes, some of those swingers might not have had the best approach to find.
Well, it's getting easy for us. We got in the pool, remember, and we started scoping people out, and we said, hey, what do you think about that couple over there? I got my eye on this couple over there. But also you were able to segment people. You could tell which guys were the single guys. Then you could pick out like the bodybuilder people. That was another group. Then you could pick out the swingers who were more of the hookup swingers, the professional swingers. And then there were, those of us that were a little bit more social swingers and more laid back, and the newbies. So, and you could tell just by walking around and talking to people. And then there were people there that were they just wanted to have fun. I don't think they would consider themselves lifestyle people. They would take their tops off and they were drinking and dancing and just playing the games and having fun, but weren't lifestyle people at all. So a whole lot more different types of people. So the first couple we met, it was Saturday when we got there, right?
Oh yeah, we had just gotten there.
Yeah, and
gotten our first drink, got in the pool,
and they were next to us.
And you started doing your scoping out of the, what do you call it? Your reconnaissance or whatever.
Yeah, well, I'm not a wallflower anymore. And a couple was right next to us. And I said, well, let's go talk to them.
Yep. You picked them out, honey. I got to give you credit.
I did.
You did a good job.
We talked to them and they know we have a podcast and we've corresponded a couple times since we've been back, but they're from Pennsylvania and they're considered newbies. I think they'd had one experience.
Right.
But we didn't even talk about that initially. We just, we want to meet people and become friends.
They had been to Temptation several times.
Yeah.
So, they were kind of giving us the ins and outs of navigating the resort and everything. And they were just a real easygoing couple, easy to talk to, just happened to be really attractive.
Yeah. And then the other couple that we met was from Michigan. And it was the same thing. I mean, we talked to them. I talked to her for a long time, and I know you talked to him, and we never mentioned the lifestyle.
No.
It was we had a lot in common with, their family and our family, and similar professions, and they're a little bit younger than us, but in the same age range.
Yep.
Been married a long time. I think 27 years they had been married.
Yep. So at the first couple we met, they had been married a long time.
Right. And so I'm not sure when it came up in conversation, but they told us that they were not in the lifestyle and that it would probably be, I think he said maybe a couple of years before they got up the nerve to.
Well, and I think the whole reason the lifestyle came up with that second couple is because there was another couple in the pool that they had, I think, met them the year before because they had been to Temptation several times as well. Mm-hmm. And there was another couple there that they had met at a prior visit, and they were after them.
Yes.
They were really wanting them to convert, I guess. And play. And it was really obvious.
Yes.
They were not being subtle about it at all.
Yeah. And this is the second time that this has happened to us. That exact scenario. It happened at Desire last year. And it happened here where there was a swinger couple that were pursuing a couple so hard that they chased them right to us.
Right.
We're like the
Yeah, it is the exact same thing that happened at Desire
we're
Pearl
like
last year.
the newbie fly traps. Yeah, we look harmless, and then anyway, they pushed them into our direction, and of course we don't say anything about the lifestyle at first. We just talk to people to get to know them, because that's the friendship part of it, the social part of it is what and there's not anything wrong with the hookup style if that's your style, but that's just not us. So we need to thank those swingers for pushing them our way.
That's right. So to go back to the first couple, that was the first couple that we met when we got to the resort on Saturday. And we talked to them a lot on Saturday, but then you and I did dinner on our own Saturday night, and then went to the patio place, which is the outdoor dance venue, the late night place. And we ran into them there at the bar, and we kind of hung out with them a little bit that night.
Yeah, and then the next day we saw them again in the pool.
Yeah.
And then I think we had lunch together.
Did we?
Yeah, I think we had lunch together.
Oh, that's right. We went in for lunch and they were already there, and we sat down with them.
We sat down with them then.
Yeah.
And then the four of us decided we would
do dinner
together, because they had reservations at a restaurant.
Right.
So we got to know them as the day went on, and we went to dinner, and then you and I had already talked at that point in time. We had decided, well...
We knew before we went to dinner. Yeah, we had talked.
They were green-lighted.
Yeah. But we also knew that they were very new. They had had one experience before, and it didn't really go as well as they had hoped it would.
Right. But we had talked and said, even though we have no expectations, if it does happen, we were both okay with it.
Right.
So we had our talk.
Right. You and I were on the same page.
Right. So we went to dinner. And then after dinner, the four of us went out.
Well, we told them at dinner that we were interested in them. So after we dropped that bomb on them at dinner, we all went to patios, the outdoor bar area.
Well, they went back to the room.
Yeah, and then they excused themselves and they went back to their room because he wanted to put shorts back on because it was hot out, and we knew we were all going to be outside the rest of the night, and he had worn long pants to dinner. So anyway, they went up to their room, and I think they probably talked. And you and I hung out at the bar and just kind of enjoyed the evening. And then they eventually came back down, and we hung out at the bar for a while and danced a little bit and had a few cocktails. And, you know who we met that night? We met our listeners from San Francisco.
Yes, that's right.
That was the night we met them at the bar.
Right.
So... yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So they had told us that they were coming to Temptation the same time we were. So we finally figured out who they were, and they figured out who we were, and we connected.
Yeah. And we tried to talk over the DJ, but it was a little bit difficult.
Yeah, it was so loud. It was really hard to talk that night.
So we ended up catching up with them later in the weekend where we could actually listen to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was fun.
So anyway, we hung out there for a while, and then they came back, and we were trying to figure out where we were going to go from there. And it was so loud at the disco area, we decided to walk out closer to the beach where it'd be a little bit more quiet.
Yeah, so the four of us sat down next to the pool, and that's where you, Mrs. Jones, started talking about the card game.
Yes.
You said you brought the dumb card game.
I did. That's card game. I'm telling you, it's small. It packs easily. It's just,
well, he had done a lot.
Always handy.
He knew a lot about sex positivity. I mean, he reads a lot, and he's really interested in this. And so we talked a lot about that. And then we shifted talking to the game. And then we said, well, we brought the game. Do y'all want to come back to the room? And they said, yes. So the four of us came back to our room, and we played the card game for 20, 30 minutes.
Sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah.
You start with the discussion questions, and then usually once we switch to the second deck, which are like the action cards, it doesn't last very long.
No. And then the clothes started coming off.
Yeah.
And I was kind of wondering, because this is the time when you especially with newbies, when all of a sudden you're in the room and the clothes start coming off, you really see, what if people are really into it or not.
Well, if they're ready, right?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what,
they were ready.
They were ready. Yeah, she and I think she had a little bit of a concern because she thought that he he might distract her from being with me. But
yeah, I think their first experience, they thought they might not want to watch each other,
yeah,
or she didn't want to watch him.
yeah,
So I think she was really concerned about, how she was going to feel,
yeah.
because we were in our room and it just had one king size bed, so there wasn't really anywhere to go.
Yeah. Anyway, she and I started.
She was a champ.
We had already talked about soft swap.
Yes.
And she and I started playing, and you two started playing, and
it was hot.
And I went down on her, and then she went down on me. And at one point in time, when you're soft swap, and the below the waist parts of the bodies, every once in a while they'll like line up, and all of a sudden you get this warm, tingling feeling like that's what you're supposed to do. And it was funny because we were laying side by side and kissing, and our body parts were aligned perfectly. And she just decided to 69, so she just flipped right over, and we did that for a while. So she was definitely engaged, and I had a great time. I mean, she was relaxed. She's very sexy, and you two
we were having a good time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Every once in a while, I would glance over there to see how you all were doing, and they didn't look like newbies.
No. Yeah. No, they were amazing.
Right.
They were very in the moment. They were very confident.
Yeah.
They didn't seem nervous at all.
No, she's a really good kisser. And
so was he.
And then we ended up switching. I think we even took a little bit of a break and had water and stuff. And then we came back and started again. And then I came back to you, and
right.
He went back to her, and we started, you and I started having sex, and they did, and then we were separated on the bed, and then we got closer to them, and that was hot.
That was hot.
Yeah. And we kind of finished where we were all four touching each other, and
oh yeah, that was the best part.
Yeah,
that was really fun.
Yeah, I mean, and you could tell that they were really having a good time, and you can tell they have a really strong relationship. So it was fun.
Yeah, and then we actually laid around and talked for a while afterwards.
Yeah. So the next day is when we met the couple really started talking to the couple.
Yeah, we had already met them.
Yeah, we met them the day before, but spent a lot of time talking with them and comparing notes as far as our lives, and we had a lot in common. So we decided to go dinner together with them. Right. So the four of us went to dinner, and they told us that they weren't in the lifestyle, or that it was going to be a couple years. I think
they were intrigued by it, but
yeah,
they just weren't ready.
So it never crossed my mind at dinner that we would play with them because they were so new. And I just liked being around them because they were really great people. So the four of us after dinner, we went to the patio.
And this is my birthday.
Yeah, this is Mrs. Jones's birthday.
Well, actually.
Yes.
The night we played.
Yes.
With our first set of friends.
The Pennsylvania
It was
friends.
after midnight, so that was my birthday.
Yeah, your birthday present was playing with our new friends.
Yes.
Because that was technically past midnight.
Right. But this was my birthday when we went out to dinner with the Michigan couple.
So then we went to the patio, the bar, disco area with them, and the Pennsylvania couple showed up too.
Yes.
So the six of us were together, and we were dancing. And every once in a while, this has happened to us once or twice. Well, first of all, you started drinking too much.
No, I didn't. It was my birthday. I was allowed to.
We were doing like every other drink water, and you went to order another vodka tonic, and I said, "Don't you think you need to?" I said, "I think that should be your last one." And you took your index finger and you put it on my nose, and you said,
"It was your chest, actually."
And you said, "It's my birthday."
And it was.
And I said, "Okay, I guess you're gonna have another drink." And you did. And
well, what started all of the drinking were
Bob.
There was Bob. But before we get to Bob, it was our San Francisco friends, our podcast listener friends. They ordered tequila shots.
That's right.
Because they found out it was my birthday.
That's right.
So we did tequila shots with them, and then our other two friends. So there were 8 of us that did a tequila shot.
Yeah.
So yeah, me and tequila, you know how that's always going to end.
Right. And then Bob came into the picture. So,
Yes.
so they had this wrought iron furniture, and somebody had taken one of those balloons that you blow up and turn into balloon animals, except they turned it into a penis.
Yeah, a really long, like 2 foot penis.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And it was wedged in the seat of one of these chairs, and so it was
kind of
this
looked
big,
like a Sibian.
it was a balloon penis sticking up, and the wind was blowing, so he was bobbing up and down. So they named him Bob. So everybody got their picture taken with Bob. And
yeah, there's a picture of me actually like licking Bob.
yeah.
Probably not one of my prouder moments.
So the 6 of us were dancing, and then eventually the couple from Pennsylvania turned in.
Yeah.
And then it was just the 4 of us, and the 4 of us were dancing. She cut in. You ladies were dancing together.
Yes.
And then to my surprise, you started kissing.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened, but that was kind of fun.
I think she was just giving you a birthday kiss.
Yeah.
But about that time, a single guy came over.
And he tried to cut in on her.
Yeah, he tried to cut in on her, and we had to shoo him away a couple of times. And it turned out okay, but I'd say 3 or 4 times he kept coming back and trying to butt in. And that's really one of the differences between temptation and pearls.
Right.
You're not
that ain't going to happen at Desire.
Right. But he was harmless. It was just an annoyance more than anything else.
I mean, because it was like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
When he couldn't get her, then he would try to get me. But she and I would just kind of rescue each other. Right. You know, he would try to steal one of us away, and I would just go fetch her back.
And this lady is just, first of all, I would just describe her as she's just beautiful inside and out.
Yes.
She's a great personality. She's just a very caring person, and just the cutest. I mean, she's so beautiful, so pretty, full of energy. And so she's dancing with you, and all of a sudden you two start kissing. And of course, it caught my attention. And I said, And about this time, everybody else on the dance floor starts noticing that there's a lot of energy coming from our side. So then she and I started dancing together, and you went to dance with her husband.
Yes.
And my back was to you all. And next thing I know, she and I started kissing. She kissed me, and I said, well, I'm going to kiss her back. You know? And we really shared, a really intimate kiss there. And then I didn't know what was going on behind me, but you can describe that.
I think he saw his wife kissing you, so he figured it was okay to kiss me.
Yeah.
Because I think she's the one that's probably the most anxious about taking the next step into the lifestyle.
Yeah.
I'd say if one of them were ready, he was probably more ready than she. But so I think once he saw her kissing you, he figured it was okay to kiss me. And I was like, okay, well, this is a good way to
this is an interesting turn.
Yeah, because Mr. Jones and I were not expecting that at all.
No, but it was really a connection. She really made, and I'll talk more about this in a minute. But at that point in time, reality sets back in, and this guy, and it was superhero night. This guy, I think he had a Spider-Man or a Superman shirt on.
I think it was a Superman shirt.
He didn't have the physique of a Superman, but anyway, she's kissing me and we're dancing. And the next thing I know, he grabs her elbow. This is not her husband. This is another guy. And it's the swinger guy that was chasing her in the pool. And he pulls her away, and I stop dancing, and I'm just watching, and he's yelling. He's trying to tell her something, and she nods her head, and then she comes back to me, and we started dancing again. And I didn't say anything, but she says, oh, that's the guy that was after me in the pool. He went up to my husband yesterday and said, I really want to fuck your wife.
That's classy.
Yeah. And so the point I want to make here, well, I guess we're going to get into making some points because, well, before we get to that, I'll come back and talk about that. But that kind of interrupted and caused a little bit of disruption in the energy, that was going on over there. So the 4 of us we danced a little bit more. Then we went to the pool. Yes. And that was fun because you could not be naked in the pool.
So we had to get in the pool in our underwear.
Yes. Everybody just stripped down to their underwear and got in the pool. And the 4 of us were pretty close to touching and flirting and kissing,
in the pool. Yes.
And then Mrs. Jones got tired and we went to bed.
Well, I got tired. Okay, so I was tired because maybe I didn't have as much water as I should have.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But I also knew that we needed to end the evening with them, or something might have happened that there would have been regrets. I think there was a lot of forward momentum, but I don't think there was a lot of communication on their part. I think they were running on adrenaline.
Mm-hmm.
So I really think we did the right thing by going to bed.
Yeah.
I mean, my hormones weren't saying that, but the little bit of brain cells that I had not cooked with the vodka were saying we needed to go to bed.
And that was our last night.
Yes, and that was our last night.
And they were staying for like 4 more days.
Yeah, so they were there for a whole week.
Yeah, we wish we could have stayed for a couple more days.
Oh, well, like I said the next day, if we had just a little bit more time.
Yeah. So those were our playtimes. Now let's go back to the Pennsylvania couple.
Okay.
Because there's something I want to talk about, and that's like self-confidence or confidence with women. So the couple we met from Pennsylvania, I don't think it was her, it was him. And I made the comment that I thought she was beautiful. And he said, I tell her that all the time and she doesn't believe me. And how many times have we heard that? I mean, you and I say that too.
And she is beautiful.
She's very beautiful.
I mean, beautiful body, beautiful face.
Right.
Just a happy personality.
Yeah. So anyway, he mentioned that he said, I tell her that all the time, but I'm just her husband. Well, then the couple the Michigan couple, the next night, I told her, or she said something to me, she said, well, my husband thinks I'm beautiful, and I just about stopped dancing, and I said, you are a very beautiful woman. So 2 nights in a row, and these were both newbie couples, and both ladies had, well, on the Pennsylvania, it was the husband who said I tell her that all the time. But there are so many. I just want to talk about that for a minute, and I know you have some thoughts on that too.
Yeah.
About how much your confidence grows, self-confidence grows as a woman in the lifestyle.
Well, I think something about having babies and getting, out of your 20s makes you, a little shaky on your confidence, because again, I've said this a million times, we're so blinded by the media. We see photoshopped and airbrush. Yeah.
Not just the media.
Well, right. I'm just thinking like, Victoria's Secret catalogs or, all of these ads and you just see all of this perfection, which really isn't real perfection because it's all been touched up. And then you look in the mirror and it's so hard. So, and then you look around and you say, oh, she's so pretty. She's so pretty. And you don't see yourself in that same light because we're critical of ourselves. But when we look at somebody else, we're looking at the whole person. We're not picking out their imperfections. So I think it takes a lot of determination to be confident as a woman, especially a woman in the lifestyle, because, you can put your best face forward, with the right clothes and et cetera. But I mean, then you have to take all of that armor off and you have to be naked in front of somebody. And,
right.
And,
but it doesn't take long is my point. I mean, so for 50 years or 49 years before you get into the lifestyle, you're saying you're molded by society. And then
right.
2 years later, you're self-confident because of the experiences that you're having in the lifestyle.
I am self-confident, but that confidence is easily shaken still.
Yeah.
I can fight back and I can let that go.
Right.
But I've still had a few experiences lately where that confidence gets shaken.
Right. And the thing, the other point that I want to make, especially with the Michigan couple, is when she and I kissed on the dance floor and she was looking at me, and I've said this once or twice, when a woman lets me in, and not necessarily physically, she made herself vulnerable at that minute. She pulled her guard down and she was looking at me in a very innocent, in a very vulnerable way, and then we kissed, and I just felt that was really important for her.
Yeah.
To do that, and I hope that having come out of that on the other side, so the next morning when we talked to them, they told us that. So when you made us go to bed early, not early, but when we
went to bed at like 2:30.
Yeah, when we got out of the pool and went to bed, he said they had the most amazing sex that night.
Yeah.
And he said it was a lot largely because of them being with us. And so, okay, we couldn't be there, but that was really meaningful.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that it worked out the way that it did. And hopefully someday.
I'm glad you can say that now, because I think you were a little bitter that I wanted to go to bed.
Well, yeah. Well, we've talked about that, guys. And that's how I'm different from the guy that interrupted us on the dance floor. Back to, and this is, awareness.
Yes.
Guys. And who just talked about this was TNA on Curious Couple.
Yeah, their new episode that just came out.
Yeah, I think episode 44. You should take a listen. But this guy the day before had said I want to fuck your wife. And obviously it didn't work out. And then he sees her with me and he interrupts again. Have some awareness. If you're going to be that type of a swinger, that's okay. I'm not judging that. But sometimes guys get the testosterone going and the hormones going, and they're like basset hounds, just all animal, all instinct, and that's really not what a woman needs sometimes, especially new to the lifestyle ladies or ladies who aren't self-confident. And, so I look at a person like that and I think, had that been the only experience she had that weekend, I wonder if that would have just driven them further from the lifestyle.
Right.
And fortunately we happened to be at the right place at the right time and made a connection with them and helped turn them. We're like the Johnny Appleseed of swingers. We're just planting these seeds.
Well, honey, don't you remember when we went to Pearl, our very, very first night at Pearl, the couple in the hot tub, we were sitting and talking with them and we told them we were brand new and we had never done anything before. And basically he said, well, no time like the present. Do you want to go back to our room and fuck? And it's like, no.
Yeah. Well, and okay, so you make a play like that.
And
but
maybe we were babies, but I don't know. That was not the right approach.
No.
For us.
But my point is, after that first approach, it didn't work, or there's nothing there. Don't keep going back. Have some sense about yourself. Look at the other woman and the other couple and how they're responding and adjust accordingly. If you need to back off the throttle, back off the throttle a little bit. This hard charging all the time, this is 3 times now that couples have been really driven to us from people who are over aggressive and really don't sense that they're pushing people or making people uncomfortable.
Right.
So that self-awareness for guys is just not there. And it doesn't go well with women and not being self-confident was the point that I was trying to make.
Right. So speaking of confidence issues, we've had a couple experiences with newbies that have kind of left me with my confidence shaken a little bit. And I kind of want to talk about it maybe from my perspective, but also, maybe some advice for newbies out there on just how to avoid miscommunications, either between you and your partner or between you and the other couple, so that, that it can be a positive experience for everybody involved. There's 2 particular encounters I'm thinking of that have happened, maybe either recently or not so recently, where there's been, I don't know, like a lack of, it's not really a lack of communication going into the encounter, because like the one I'm thinking of is, we knew that they were a soft swap couple and we were okay with that. And that boundary was set. But as far as the,
remember I was using the word incongruent.
Okay.
There's a difference between, even though it's soft swap, when all 4 people say they're in, and this is what we're okay with, then you go into the bedroom and one person's clearly not got their head in the game.
Right.
And the situations that you're speaking of, it's been the men who have not had their head in the game.
Right.
And so
that can leave me a little shaken because I can't figure out why they're not engaged. You know, is it me? Is it them seeing their wife with somebody else? Is it like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm doing this, and just being kind of emotionally overwhelmed?
Yeah, and we're not talking about having an erection or not here. We're talking about just not being engaged.
Right.
Let's make that clear.
I think it's like their head's not in the game, which causes other things not to be in the game.
Yeah.
But I think this is a mental thing.
Right. You know, and as a husband, as me watching you, it kind of bothers me a little bit because you come out of a situation and I've had a good time and the other woman's had a good time, but you kind of come out and say, well, I don't know what just happened in there, but either he wasn't interested in me or he was distracted by his wife. And when that happens 2 or 3 times, you know, you start to lose your confidence and think, well, is it me? Because when we went in there, you know, I thought we were all okay, but when we came out, I wasn't a part. It didn't happen the way that I was hoping it was going to happen.
Right. And, you know, I try to put the person at ease and get them to relax and kind of engage. And there's been a few times where I just haven't been able to do that.
Right.
And
then afterwards, it's like nothing's wrong. It's like the conversation is normal. Like we all 4 had a good time and the guys really don't want to talk about it. And so I think that's the bigger point too. It's okay. If you're a newbie, you don't know what's going to happen when you go into that bedroom.
Right.
And you don't know how you're going to react. But what is best is when you come out of that, just to talk about it, to say, hey, I don't know what happened in there. I was overwhelming and, you know, I just want to let you know. So at least everybody knows, especially you know that it wasn't you.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Because when there is no discussion, I mean, it rattles me.
Yeah.
You know, it starts making me think, oh gosh, he wasn't attracted to me, or.
I know. And then if you get 2 times in a row, you're telling me, oh, well, I had a birthday. Now that's 2 times in a row. I mean,
I'm getting old.
You know,
Nobody
maybe
wants me.
I'm too old for this. You know, maybe we need to wrap this up. And then as a husband, I get a little, you know, bent out of shape because I'm like, I want to share you with somebody who's going to appreciate you. And, you know, as T said on their podcast so eloquently, you know, if I'm going to let somebody drive my Ferrari.
I love that.
You better take care of it.
That is the best analogy ever.
Yeah. So it's not only being too aggressive and not paying attention, it's not engaging at all. And then you walk out feeling less than, you know, good about yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and I care about you and I don't want to put you in that situation. So before you walk into the playroom, if something's not right, you should say it. And then after you come out, if it didn't go that well, you know, just admit to it. Say, hey, this is,
it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah. Just be honest. So it really comes down to communication is what we're saying. And I know it's a new environment. And if you're new, you've never done this before and you don't know what to say. That's why we're telling you now.
Yeah. Just go ahead and talk about it because it happened. I mean, we're all human. We're not all sex machines. So I guess the other thing I want to talk about before we wrap this up is not only is that...
you have nice boobs.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Can we focus here, honey? We're almost done.
My attention span just expired.
Obviously, it's late and...
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so anyway, so the other perspective I want to point out is that, sure, my confidence gets rattled, but it's not all about me. There's another woman in the room.
It's not?
Well, yeah, when it's just you and I, it's all about me, but
okay.
when we play with other couples, I try to be a team player.
All right.
So the example that we've been using is if the other man's head is not in the game and he's struggling, and you and his partner are having a great time, at the end of the evening, his partner is going to notice. whether it's in the car on the way home or whether she's noticed all along and she doesn't know what to do about it, or, after it's over and she's just like, oh my gosh, best night ever. And then she looks over at her partner and he's just got this bewildered look on his face. It's going to have an impact on her. And then ultimately it's going to have an impact on their connection, and they're, going to have to communicate about it at some point.
Their ability to grow in the lifestyle.
Right. And I mean, you and I have had this happen. So, I mean, we are speaking from experience.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're preaching and meddling here. We've had to deal with this as well.
Yes.
So you have to come clean. If you've had some sort of an issue during that play session, you've got to come clean. At the minimum with your partner, hopefully you feel comfortable enough and you have that connection with a couple that you've engaged with that you can come clean with everybody. Because I think the more you talk about it and the more you acknowledge it, the better it's going to be for you in the long run.
Yes. And even after all of that, we just enjoy being with newbies. I mean, they're a lot of fun.
They are a lot of fun.
There's a lot of energy that they're bringing. There's a lot of curiosity. We like to be a part of somebody's growth. I mean, obviously, that's why we do this podcast.
Right. I mean, all of that energy that they bring to the encounter it's really contagious.
Yeah.
Some of it's anxiety, but most of it is like, you're at the top of that roller coaster ready to go down the hill and just all of that rush of adrenaline and everything. Yeah. That's very contagious.
Yeah. And on the positive side of communication, we've been with couples who have communicated with us afterwards. And I know we just talked about the Michigan couple, but we didn't talk about the Pennsylvania couple, because I know the next day, they came back and told us, you know what, we were ready to tell you guys that we weren't ready to play.
I know.
But the way that they said the reason why is because they couldn't really wrap their minds around how they were going to get from dinner conversation to bedroom. And so that, since they had never done that before, they were going to opt out. But then when we were sitting around the pool and we offered to play the game and she said yes, and the husband was like, "Oh." She said yes.
Yeah, I think that she surprised him when she said, yeah, I think the game intrigued her.
Yeah, but both of those couples gave us some good feedback the next day, which is always helpful.
Yeah.
Right? And then we do have newbie friends that, that have you mentioned before, have, we've had bumps in the road with, but we talk about that with them.
Well, I love that about that couple. I mean, it's been kind of a bumpy ride with them, but they are so good at communicating with each other, and they're not afraid to talk to us about it.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. I mean, we've actually sat around with cocktails kind of strategizing how to make it a better experience for the four of us.
Yeah. And if you don't think I had problems, go back and listen to episode 3. So I know what I'm talking about.
Right. And I mean, talking about that, it's still sexy.
Yeah.
It's just sexy to kind of that what if scenario and how can we make everybody comfortable? Because, it's fun if you can find that comfort level for all four of you. Because with the couple that we're talking about now, I mean, there's definitely that 4-way attraction.
Right.
But, you just have to make it work for everybody. And I guess, we're willing to do that. We find it challenging.
Yeah.
I don't think we find it.
Then we can say that Temptation was a success, even though we didn't play really with both couples.
Well, okay. So honey, think about this.
Yeah.
You say we didn't play with the couple from Michigan, but we were at a resort that was not a lifestyle resort. I mean, there were some lifestyle people there, and we were like dancing until the wee hours of the morning with them. And okay, first of all, she and I were kissing. Can you imagine doing that in our hometown?
You two were playing.
And then she grabbed you and she just plants one right on you.
Yeah.
And then her husband was like, oh yeah. And then he starts kissing me. We cannot do that in normal social settings.
I have no complaints.
That is the lifestyle.
Yes, I have no complaints.
That is the lifestyle, honey. And that was hot.
Okay.
And it was awesome.
Okay, point taken, Mrs.
Yes.
Jones. Okay.
So I think it's all relative. I think, we just hopefully gave both of them something to think about as they move forward in their lifestyle journey, wherever that moving forward is for them. It's going to be different for each of them. And, maybe it's a lessons learned for them, or maybe it's a, hey, there's some potential here.
And if somebody wants
to move forward,
if somebody wants to come to Virginia from Michigan or Pennsylvania, we're more than happy to help continue this tutelage.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, so we're before we close up, I want to read the email that we talked about at the beginning of the episode, and then wrap this up.
And I want to not only read the second part of the email, but I want to refer back to the part of the email that we read last time.
But I'm only going to read the second half.
Okay.
If you want to hear the first half, it's what we read on episode 23.
Well, true.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the last half of the email. I know Mrs. Jones mentioned it on the podcast before. It is strange to say out loud that the lifestyle has brought us together and made an already strong connection stronger. My husband and I were talking about that the other night. When we started, our objective was to make friends first. All of our vanilla friends are so conservative. I've been banned from making swapping jokes. Perhaps I made too many. So we really wanted to meet people that we could really let it all hang out in front of, so to speak, not feel like we had to hide any part of ourselves. Our second objective was to explore sexually. We've only ever been with each other. While a wonderful accomplishment, we were curious about what was out there. There's something about seeing and hearing your partner living out their fantasies that is really rewarding. I feel like I'm helping him live his best life, and what's better than that?
That is so amazing. May I just interrupt? That is so amazing.
Yeah, I want to come back and talk about that in a minute.
That's true love right there.
Yeah. The other big change, at least for me, is how my confidence has gone through the roof. I think a lot of women feel differently about their bodies after having children. I've learned that there are a lot of men and women out there that are attracted to me, and that perhaps I was overthinking and worrying about something I shouldn't. Even though my husband tells me I'm beautiful every day, there is something different about the compliment when it comes from someone else. I also would have never written to you both. I was very introverted. Now I'm finding myself being more social and less nervous to talk to new people. It's been a wonderful transformation all around.
That just knocks my socks off. I mean, to have somebody so open, like you said, there's a bit of vulnerability there.
Yeah.
And just the strength of their relationship. And what I wanted to refer back to, and I know you want people to go back and listen to our previous episode, but what she says right at the end of what we read last time, she says something about when the single guy had insulted them and they were driving home. She said that they were holding hands in the car, and she said that she was a bit shaken and upset, and that although the single guy had seemed nice at first, obviously he wasn't a nice guy. And she said that her husband looked at her and said, our marriage is the opposite of a sham. It's bulletproof. We have trust in one another to be able to live out our fantasies, and we always come back together. If that's not a real marriage, I don't know what is. So, I mean, that I guess that's the thing. You have to have that confidence in your relationship that you're going to be bulletproof.
Yeah.
That together you're stronger than you are individually.
Right.
And that I think that's what it takes to navigate the lifestyle in a confident manner.
Right. And her point about that, the sentence that we both liked about, I feel like I'm helping him live his best life. And what's better than that? When we were talking with Tony on episode 23, I even said, it makes no sense. It really doesn't add up. I'm watching my wife, the love of my life, with another man, and it's turning me on and it's drawing us closer.
Right.
That goes against everything.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah. But this phrase really helps define that. If I'm really helping you live the best life that you can have, then what's better than that? That's what I should want.
Right.
And so I think she's either knowingly or stumbled upon, the closest definition or the closest explanation that I can come to helping that make sense.
Yes.
So, of course, we're going to give you 3 takeaways.
Right.
Because we've talked about a lot.
Right.
And this time it's going to be the 3 C's.
It was the 3 Ps last time.
Yeah.
What was it? Be picky, be patient, and persevere.
Right. This is the 3 C's.
Yes.
It's about the connection. It's about confidence, and it's about communication.
Yes.
So I'm going to pause a minute while you newbies pick up your pencils or your phones.
Yeah, don't be old school, honey.
Yes.
Let them pick up their phones and like make a note.
Yeah, so it's about the connection, and it's about confidence, and it's about communication. So just to summarize, the connection, you have to define what sort of connection that you're looking for. And Mrs. Jones and I have talked about our connection being, we want to make friends. We're social swingers.
Right.
We want to meet people that we can be friends with first and play partners with second. And we are attracted to people that are physically attractive, have good personalities, and a strong relationship.
Right.
And that's what we've defined. And so when we want to connect with a person, that's what we're looking for.
I think, when we say we want to make friends first, and we've talked about other people that say that as well, they want to make friends first. Well, okay, that's all well and good, but you can make friends in the vanilla world.
Right.
But what's different about this is when you make that connection and you develop that friendship and you discover the commonalities between, among the 4 of you, then the sex just kind of comes. I mean, the flirting starts and the comfort levels there. And then all of a sudden the sex is just there, and it's comfortable and it's awesome.
Yeah. So how do you recognize that? I mean, I think the one way to describe it is if you define people in the lifestyle that you're attracted to as primarily a physical attractiveness, then maybe your expectations need to change about the sort of connection that is going to be very considerate of you. Because if you're a sexual swinger, and that's perfectly fine, I've said that before, but if you're just physically attracted to somebody and the personality and the relationship don't matter that much, then the chances are you're going to run into people who just want to have raw sex. And, so if that's not what you're about, maybe you need just to re-examine what attracts you to somebody else and look for another dimension. So that's, how I would characterize that, what that means.
Right. Because I mean, when I'm looking for somebody, as we meet couples, I'm looking for a guy that is like interested in me as a person, so that when I do have sex with him, he's going to at least attempt to try to read me,
yes,
and to please me.
Right.
And then of course he has the same hope going through his mind that I'm going to reciprocate that. And
yes. And if you don't,
I think that it takes a little bit of work.
Yes. If you don't take the time to do that, then what's left is just the raw physical sex.
Right. And sometimes that might be what you're after. And then, that's awesomeness.
But if you come out of that and you don't think that was what you were looking for, then re-examine the people that you're connecting with.
Right.
Yeah. So,
and maybe, you want to alter that approach to find somebody that is going to be interested in your mind as well as your boobs or whatever.
Yeah. So the second word is confidence. And the reason that we didn't use self-confidence was intentional, because what we're finding, and this is based on, you and me both, Mrs. Jones, I wasn't very self-confident coming into this. And as we just talked about, most people are not.
Right.
Men and women. When the man's head's not in the game, maybe it's a self-confidence issue. When the woman has, concerns about what she looks like, the same thing. So what we would recommend is rely on the confidence that you have in your relationship.
Because obviously your partner thinks that you're the most amazing thing in the whole world.
So when you go,
or you wouldn't be ready to dip your toes into the lifestyle to begin with.
Right. So when you're entering this and you're entering it together and you're doing it as a team, lean on the confidence that you have in that relationship. And then you don't worry so much about what the other couple or the other partner thinks about you, because your focus is on your partner and the confidence that you have in your relationship. And then what can come out of that is self-confidence, because then the people that you play with are going to begin to compliment you. And then the self-confidence comes later. And if you want to take it a step further, then as you develop that self-confidence, that feeds back into the relationship you have and makes your relationship stronger too.
Right.
Yeah. And then, of course, communication really is communication. I mean, it's the same thing, whether it's your spouse, whether it's yourself, whether it's another couple. Just communicate as much as possible. It's fun. It's a way to learn about yourself and other people. Some people might think it's strange, to like do a debrief with another couple after you play with them, but we really enjoy that. I mean, we like hearing other people's perspective on how it went, and we like to do the same thing.
Well, one thing that I try really hard to do is I try not to take the whole thing too seriously.
It's fun.
I mean, if you have fun and you can laugh about it, and it's hot and it's intense, but at the same time, you just can't take yourself too seriously. You can't take the situation too seriously.
Yeah. So here's the bottom line. The Joneses are newbie friendly.
Yes, we are. Well, and honey, we are not too far removed from being newbies ourselves. I mean, we still make newbie mistakes in certain situations.
I think the lifestyle is like dog years.
Well,
because you really do grow up fast.
You do grow up fast, but at the same time...
So we're 21. We're not 3, we're 21.
But at the same time, there's every encounter with another couple that we haven't played with before is new.
Yeah.
We have some experience under our belt, but it's still it's new territory every time.
Honey, we have to pretend like we know what we're talking about because there's people listening to
Honey,
us.
we're on episode 24. They already know.
Okay. All right. I think we've pretty much covered this, don't you?
Yes, I do. I think, first of all, I think I need to say thank you for an amazing birthday weekend.
Oh, that was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I have no idea how you're going to top that next year, but I'm sure you're working on it.
I'm not worried about next year because we have Naughty in New Orleans coming up in a few weeks, and then we've got Desire coming up. I'll worry about next May.
I know. I love summertime.
Later.
It's so decadent.
Yes. Okay, so when we come back, we've got a couple of snapshots to share with you.
Yes, we do.
We'll put episode 24 to rest.
So many to choose from. It's going to be tough.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back to our snapshot segment. We're going to start out tonight with a snapshot from one of our listeners, and then I think Mr. Jones and I each have our own sexy snapshot.
You think? You better be thinking of one.
I got mine.
Okay.
I hope you got yours.
I got mine.
Okay, well, here's our listener's snapshot. This is from M&A. My snapshot was from a fabulous weekend that was 3 months in the making. We had made contact with a sexy couple whom we had always had our eye on, but whom lived quite a distance from us. We started messaging back and forth on Cassidy, and then took our long-distance flirtmance to group text. Things were going so well, we proposed a weekend-long rendezvous that involved a wine tasting tour and hot tubbing at a resort.
That sounds wonderful.
I know. I wish we could have been invited.
No.
It was the perfect location, about the halfway point between us. When we finally got to meet them, there was instant chemistry for all 4 of us. Yup, it was the rarest of the rare, a 4-way match. We had planned a first night of teasing clothes on, well, mostly clothes on, which ramped us up for night number 2. Night 2, we were all playing on the plush king-size bed with enthusiasm. The other woman was on a mission to make my husband come with a very enthusiastic blowjob. I heard my husband begin to ramp up, and he proceeded to have the largest, most intense orgasm of his life. Me and the other man actually stopped mid-play to admire the amazingness of the orgasm. It was a beautiful sight and sound, especially since my husband is not usually vocal. Every time I think back to it, I smile, and my panties get a bit wet.
The amazingness of the orgasm.
I love that.
I like the panties getting wet, too.
Yes.
That's a nice way to close.
I know. That was a good snapshot.
Yeah. Thank you, M&A, for sharing that.
And next time you go wine tasting and hot tubbing, please invite us.
Yeah.
It sounds like fun.
I know. Does sound like fun. We should do that.
I know.
We have a hot tub.
We do.
We got a wineries around.
Yes, we do.
Dang. Thanks for the ideas. Okay. My snapshot goes back to our time with Tony.
Oh, okay. You have my attention.
Yes. One thing that we did not talk about in episode 23 was how we ended.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So we had done all kinds of configurations and positions, and we had taken breaks, and we played for a really long time. And how we finished was you were laying on your back in bed, and I was laying beside you. And I think Tony was laying on the other side of you or standing on the edge of the bed. Do you remember?
He was laying on the other side of me.
Okay, so
yes.
you were laying in between us.
Yes.
And I said to you, I want you to give me a hand job. And you started doing that. And then he started getting aroused by that. So then you started working on him too. And he was playing with himself at the same time.
Right.
And then you were laying there and I started getting... that last snapshot, I started making the noise.
Yeah.
And it was starting to build up and
ramping up.
It was ramping up.
That's what she said.
Yeah. And then he had his orgasm and he came on your stomach.
Yes.
And after he did that, then
You didn't last long.
I did the same thing. Yes. Yeah. You finished me off with your hand job.
Yeah, that was a pretty hot way to end the night.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why we keep warm washcloths at the ready.
Yes, we were prepared.
Yeah. Yeah, that was quite something.
Okay, now I totally forgot my snapshot.
Okay, well then that's the end.
No, I can get it back. Here it comes.
All right.
So my snapshot was, and I have so many snapshots in my head. We had so much fun playing with our Pennsylvania friends in our room at the resort that night. And that was it was so much fun. And they were so like relaxed and into the moment.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
But I think the snapshot that's sticking in my mind is my birthday night, when the six of us were dancing. We were playing with that stupid penis balloon and just dancing and drinking and fighting off single guys. It was so much fun. But I think the moment that stuck in my mind, because it was probably the most surprising moment of the weekend, is when I looked over and you were kissing her, the couple from Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
after they said that they weren't in the lifestyle and they weren't ready for a couple of years. And then she made the decision to kiss you. Well, first of all, that act surprised me. But then second of all, she was so petite. I think she might have been 5 foot. And Mr. Jones is very tall. He's like 6'3". So there was such a height difference between the two of you. And I think she had like flats on that night. I think just had like flip-flops on because she was dressed as a superhero.
Yeah.
So she had her flip-flops on and then kissing you. And she was just so petite. And she just had her arms wrapped around your neck and she was kissing you. And that just really, it was awesome because I knew that was a big step for her. And then I looked back over at her husband and he had this big old grin on his face and he was like, yes. So that he kissed me. And that was it was so fun. That was just a really magical moment.
Yeah.
Even though the whole weekend was so much fun and we met, so many very cool people.
I mean, I'd already talked about this briefly, but I told you the next day, I've never had a woman look at me the way that she was looking at me when she just bared herself, and made herself so vulnerable. And I felt like she was putting that complete trust in me. And
yes.
I mean, that's just the biggest compliment I can receive. Even before I kissed her, that was the biggest compliment, that she felt safe enough around me to do that.
Right.
And then, I'm going to treat her. I know I'm driving somebody else's Ferrari at that point in time. So I'm going to make sure that I treat her, the way that she should be treated and the way that I sensed that she needed to be treated at that time. It was really special.
Yeah.
Yeah. Too bad. Dang it. They're so far away.
I know.
Well, okay. Well, undoubtedly, Mrs. Jones, in
Yes.
episode 25, we will probably be talking about Nadia in New Orleans.
I think we'll have a couple things to say about that. Yes.
Probably there'll probably be about 8 or 10 podcasts this time next month about Nadia in New Orleans.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be a blast. That's for sure.
Yeah. So we're looking forward to that. And if you're there, please come up and introduce yourselves. If not the meet and greet, come to our session or track us down somewhere. We'd love to meet you.
Yeah, there's another meet and greet that we're going to be part of one evening. Is that Friday night or Thursday night?
I think it's Thursday night at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's on the schedule if you're going.
Yeah, so if you see our names, come on by and say hi. Or if you see us at one of the bar crawls or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you for those of you. We've got quite a few more iTunes reviews, so we appreciate that.
Yes, thanks.
And we appreciate all the emails. We really got a lot of email this week for Tony's episode, and it was new ground for us talking about a single guy, and that spurred a lot of conversation. So we really enjoy. Even Mrs. Jones has been answering some email.
I've been doing much better. Yes.
So if you want to reach us, it's Mr. Jones at wegotathing.com. That's MRJONES at WEGOTTATHING.com, or Mrs. Jones at wegotathing.com. And of course, our website is wegotathing.com. Follow us on Twitter at wegotathing. And if you're on Cassidy, we have a Cassidy community. We'd love to have you join us. Anything else, Miss Sexiest Voice on iTunes?
No, I think it's just maybe time to go upstairs.
Oh, okay then. Well then, thanks for listening. We are Mr. and Mrs. Jones, and we got a thing.
What's your thing?